70% of a buyer's research is done before the sales team even knows that they exist. 70% of the way to a decision before your sales team has ever heard their name, talked to them, anything. So if your marketing is misaligned with your sales people and the words and the language that they're going to be using, they're going to get confused. They're going to fall out, right? It's like we want to be answering the questions that they have in their journey and giving them the answers that they're looking for when they're in that research phase. So when they do get to us, we're speaking the same language.
Welcome to Fixers and Founders, where vision meets velocity. I'm Tony.
I'm Forrest.
Today's guest, Rayne Palmer, Chief Revenue Officer at Next Level Revenue and a National Community Leader with ENRG. That's ENRG, the growing network of EOS-powered entrepreneurs, integrators, and experts. Rayne's journey cuts across ecosystems, from marine biology to marketing strategy, from oyster education to sales ops. What ties it all together? She helps people grow. Whether it's oysters or opportunities, Rayne gets things unstuck. Today, she's teaching founders how to align sales and marketing, create repeatable revenue, and build the kind of support systems that don't burn you out. If you're a growing B2B business or building a community that needs traction, this one's for you. I'm Tony.
I'm Forrest.
This is Fixers and Founders. Let's get it done.
You didn't start a business to put out fires, but here you are, holding the extinguisher. Business isn't theory, it's pressure, late nights, tight margins, the thing that keeps breaking no matter how many times you fix it. When the room's on fire, the amateurs shout, the pros stay calm. That's the Fixers and Founders way. Part discipline, part rebellion. We walk into broken systems, find the pulse, and make it run clean. Because calm isn't weakness. Calm is a strategy. We're operators, builders, problem solvers. Born from the grind. Built for the builders. Join us now as we chat with Fixers and Founders just like you. Let's jump in.
Man, Rayne, I'm excited to have you here. I know we talked a little bit before this, but really appreciate what you're doing with ENRG. You are trailblazing and making a huge impact on the community with all the chapters you got going on. So thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a really cool community. I'm really lucky and grateful to be a part of it. And it's just really cool to see this thing grow.
And all happened over a bourbon in Washington, D.C., right?
Yeah, right?
Well, you didn't exactly take a straight path into entrepreneurship. From oysters to ops, what pulled you into this kind of work?
When I first decided to go to school and be a marine biologist, I knew that I was so multi-passionate that I didn't really want to settle in like one thing forever. And I did the marine biology thing for a while, and I had a lot of really cool experiences with it, from, doing some of the shark lab stuff and oil spill toxicology and education of the marine ecosystem to the oyster restoration piece. I got to a point when I was working at the oyster stuff, something was pulling at me to try something new. And I had an opportunity to take a transition at the time. So I was like, well, let's try this thing out and see what happens. And started looking for a new job, ended up in a coaching company for people transitioning out of education and into corporate. Started as a coach there, and then found out I was like semi good at sales and started doing all the sales for the company, started doing the marketing for the company, and just kind of taught myself how to do those pieces. And just kind of felt like the missing piece there. It felt right. It felt like there was something that I had been missing in the previous roles that I had held, and I've kind of been stuck in it ever since. And it's always something new. There's always a new hill to climb, a new challenge to overcome in marketing and sales, which is really exciting. You never know what you're going to get on any given day.
You never know what you're going to get, right, Forrest?
That is true. Like a box of chocolates. So I guess, a really important question before we get to the next official question is, do you eat raw oysters or do you not eat raw oysters?
I don't eat any seafood, period.
Really? Okay.
None. And especially not oysters. So the oyster restoration stuff I did was we had oyster gardens that were grown off of like piers at people's houses.
Mm-hmm.
And they were grown in these little things that looked like crab baskets. And if the oyster gardeners, we called them, or the volunteers taking care of them, didn't go out and shake their baskets, they would grow through. And then we would go at the end of the season to pick up the oysters. We would have to like break them out And
Mm.
then as they break out of their shell, just I have no idea how anyone could eat that. I feel very strongly in that opinion, and I can't do it. No.
So,
Noted.
Rayne, at Next Level Revenue, you help small businesses align their sales and marketing. What's the biggest mistake that you see most of them make?
Hmm.
How about not putting in the CRM? Oh, that's my answer.
One of the things we're really good about at Next Level is like we're always going to meet our clients where they are type things. In EOS world, one of our three uniques is duct tape and popsicle sticks. So sometimes the duct tape and popsicle sticks is an Excel spreadsheet that replaces the CRM for the time being. As far as like the biggest mistake that I think people make, I think this is kind of twofold. Number one, people treat marketing and sales as silos, and they're not. Doesn't really make sense for them to be separated in silos anymore. I've never thought about it that way, and I know that's like traditionally how people do think about marketing and sales, but it never made sense to me. So when I came into a place that brought marketing and sales together, it just made sense for them to be interconnected. They work together, right? Like the studies show that 70% of a buyer's research is done before the sales team even knows that they exist. They're 70% of the way to a decision before your sales team has ever heard their name, talked to them, anything. So if your marketing is misaligned with your sales people and the words and the language that they're going to be using, they're going to get confused. They're going to fall out, right? It's like we want to be answering the questions that they have in their journey and giving them the answers that they're looking for when they're in that research phase. So when they do get to us, we're speaking the same language. Like the sales team is speaking the same language that was answering those questions. And I think the second part is so many people think that marketing is black magic and it can't be tracked and it can't be figured out. And it's just kind of like, you throw some spaghetti at the wall and see what happens. But that's not true. Like it really is able to be figured out, and it's not as complicated as what people think it is or try to make it out to be. Is it straightforward? No, but it's not as complicated as what people are making it out to be. And you can track and figure out where people are falling out of your funnel and how to fix that.
That's
Love-
good. I
love-
totally agree that marketing and sales really have no business being separate.
I have to comment that I think I like the duct tape and popsicle sticks. They're unique. That's a good one too.
I agree.
Gets your attention. You lead nationally for ENRG, the EOS community. What's working right now in peer-driven communities that wasn't working a few years? Let me try that again. What's working right now in peer-driven communities that wasn't working a few years ago?
I don't know if it's something that wasn't working a few years ago, but I think what's working is just having a community of people who genuinely live by the value of help first. It's not coming into a conversation expecting to get a sale out of it. It's not coming into a group of people who are visionaries and founders and integrators, whatever, and expecting for one of those people to buy from you. It's giving more than you get. It's coming into the community and genuinely just offering them the solutions that you have with no expected return on that. That's what I've really seen through ENRG is, I have a chapter that I attend here in Pennsylvania with a local EOS implementer, and every single time I go to that meeting every month, I see these people living by these values every single time. And there's this lady who was in our group that she showed up for the very first time for our first meeting in July. And at the end of the meeting, she came up in tears and was just like, I didn't realize that people had the same problems as me. I didn't realize there were other people who were experiencing the same things that I'm dealing with in my business. And she's like a staple in our community now. She shows up every single month, is in the room, is offering everything she has to others, and continues to talk about the value that she's getting. She's not working with an implementer. She's, read traction when she came into the community, and she just shows up every single week and gets so much out of it and constantly gives more and more value in the meeting too. She's helped me with things in our business we've worked through. She's given me great ideas. We've gotten coffee before. So I think it's just that help first community and that help first mindset. If you give, like the outcomes of that are really, really cool. And we see that across the nation, across the world one day with this energy thing, right? Just being able to be in a community where you know you're always going to be able to help others and get helped as well.
Yeah, it's so contrary to the typical networking community of the BNIs of the world or whatever, where you're walking with your hand out looking for something, where here you're walking in and handing out things to other people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a big like difference between that and a lot of other groups that you see that do advertise as being like networking and referral groups, right?
For sure.
Yeah, it sounds like seeing that person come with such enthusiasm and regularity was pivotal for you to realize what an impact energy is making. What's an example of that in your career now where you realize like this is the work that I'm supposed to be doing?
To be honest, like when I first left marine biology, even though I knew that I wanted to do other things with my life as well, I was a little lost at first. Like, it definitely took me a little time to figure out, like, oh no, like this was the right move. And I think what's really clicked for me over the past year that I've been at Next Level is just it goes back to the help first thing, right? Like, every time I get on a call with a VI duo who are confused and don't know what to do next and are stuck and beating their head up against the wall trying to figure out how to grow this thing, and watching like the clarity click for them as we're in the calls, watching them see like, oh, there's somebody who thinks about this in a different way than I've been thinking about this. There's a solution for that. And then when we put one of our FCROs in that room with them and they start working with them on their leadership team, we just end up seeing these big changes happening in their businesses. And then when I get on my check-in calls with them 30, 60, 90 days later, and they're telling me about all these things that are changing in their business, and watching these light bulbs and watching them be able to take off some of the hats they've been wearing for so long is really impactful. And it's made it feel like all of this like long, windy path that I've taken has been really worth it to get to that point where I know I'm helping those people in the room as well and taking off some of those hats, giving those hats to somebody else. I had someone say to me in a call the other week, like, wearing like 6 hats and 5 of them are really freaking heavy. And knowing like, yeah, we're going to put a CRO in there who gets to take some of those hats off your head, and just that like relief that comes out of that. I think that's what's really clicked for me.
Good stuff.
Very good. Totally relatable.
Well, you've gone from lab work and lesson plans to leading sales strategy. What skills from your early days still show up in your work now?
So, sales is still a lot like science, right? Like, we're still using the scientific method. We're making a hypothesis and we're testing it and we're figuring out if it's right or wrong, and we're doing that based on the data, right? And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, you never have to stop being curious when you leave the lab and go into something else. You get to keep asking those questions and keep making the best hypothesis with the data that you have. And then you test it and iterate and you figure out if you were right or wrong. It's the same thing from the lab and what I was doing there into this marketing and sales world. I think to keep going with the water jokes here with, the marine biology thing. It's like, Forrest, you're familiar with this, like when the spillway, right? When the spillway was opened and it turned the whole Gulf right there in that dead zone to a freshwater zone. It was this small failures upstream that caused all of this downstream, right? It's all of those pieces up the Mississippi River that were brought down to the Gulf of Mexico and causing this huge downstream consequence. It's the same thing in marketing and sales too. Like, all of these small things in the top of your funnel, in the awareness bucket, in the interest bucket, these small little things where people are falling out of the funnel, or your messaging is misaligned, or, you're missing the mark with something, your form is broken on your website, whatever. All of these really tiny things lead to bigger consequences the further down the pipeline you go, the further into the process. So it's just being able to tie those pieces together, right? We're still testing things. We're still figuring it out. We're still using the hypothesis, whether we're in the lab or in marketing and sales, in the revenue room, as I call it.
The scientific method for revenue growth. I love it.
Yeah.
And I thought you might use that opportunity, Rayne, to just say that I used to grow clams and now I help my business partners grow some more clams. What is like one particular system, strategy, or mindset that you swear by when it comes to unlocking growth?
Admitting that you don't have all the answers. There's a lot of people in the room that you feel like you have to have the answers, whether that's what you've been conditioned to believe throughout your life, or, you're the visionary, the integrator, and you feel like you're supposed to have all the answers. Like, it's okay to not. And being able to lean into those pieces is a huge piece of just being able to grow, knowing that you can't do it all yourself. You can't wear all those hats, right? You can't do them all forever. Being able to say, hey, I need help. I think that's one of the biggest things, is just being able to ask for help and lean into other experts and lean into people who can genuinely help you. Whether it's through an energy community, coming to them and saying, hey, I'm struggling with this thing, or whether it's looking for revenue help or looking for an integrator or any of the pieces, right?
Yeah, I was having a conversation recently with somebody, and I was like, you have to be okay with asking for help, and it's okay not to have all the answers. Like you said, founders typically struggle with asking for help, but the ones that do are the ones that grow faster and go further. So
Yeah,
it's a
and I
good
mean,
illustration.
same thing for me too. Like, when I first started in this marketing and sales thing, I didn't know what I was doing. I was flying by the seat of my pants. I had no idea what's happening.
Nobody does.
Right? And that's kind of what I've learned too, is like, it's okay to say, "Hey, I have no freaking idea what I'm doing right now, but I'm gonna try." But when I first started, I was so hesitant to admit that. And then as I've watched, myself grow over this past year, it's like, well, what are the things that I've done differently? I've asked for help. I've delegated the things that aren't the highest and best use of my time. And I figured out how to really get into my sweet spot of where I'm going to thrive and where I can make the most impact.
And it may be cliche or common sense. The first word that came to mind as I'm reading that question to you, like what sort of strategy or mindset does it take, was consistency.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, now we're going to get wild and crazy on your first
Boy,
podcast episode and have some wild card questions. So
let's
get your
go.
seatbelt on. What's a moment that seemed random or small, but ended up opening up a major door for you?
Hmm. Maybe like at the EOS conference this past year. It was before I came to work for Next Level. I was at another company who did run on EOS, but I wasn't as highly involved in the community at that point. I didn't know as many people in the community. It was kind of, we were doing our own thing, right? And then coming to the conference and meeting all of these other people, meeting you, Forrest, meeting some of the implementers, meeting Bill, who's the implementer that I work with here at our energy chapter in Pennsylvania. It's like being in that place and seeing the community firsthand and getting to know all of these pieces that I didn't know at the time were going to be these like big factors of my life moving forward in the next year. It was like, okay, I'm just meeting these people who happen to live near me or places where I used to live or whatever. But it's been such a huge impact to my life.
It's amazing how one conference like that can transform how you view the world and the connections that you have that you wouldn't have had otherwise.
For sure.
Rain, last question. What is something that's totally separate from work that helps keep you energized and keeps your tank full?
This is a good
And
one.
does it have four legs?
Aw. So I've played soccer for most of my life, and I've been out of the game for a little bit, but I just started coaching this past year. I started coaching in July. I have 6, 7, 8, and 9-year-old girls. And it's really funny because my soccer coach for most of my life, my soccer coach when I was that age, is actually the wife of the program director at the school I'm coaching at, the rec program that I'm coaching at. And she messaged me one day and she was like, hey, we need some coaches. I think it's time you do this thing. Because I had coached with her previously as like a senior project when I was still in high school. I coached a team with her. And I was like, I don't really know about that. Don't know if that's the right path for me. But I said yes because I owe her a lot. And I say this all the time this past year, like karma has come for me coaching these girls for sure. But it's been one of the most like rewarding experiences to watch us go from when I started. I didn't know that these girls were on an academy team the year before, and they didn't know what the positions meant in soccer. They didn't know where they needed to be on the field. All they knew is that they ran and kicked the ball. And I got these girls who didn't know any of that stuff and started working through it with them over the season, and being able to see the growth that they experienced over the year from not winning very many games, not gonna lie, to just there was this beautiful game at the end of the season where all of the little pieces that we had been working on throughout the season came together in an actual game where we won. They scored 8 goals. And it was just really,
Sounds like a Disney movie.
right? Yeah. But it was really cool to be a part of, and it was so rewarding, and I'm excited. We're getting ready to start winter season in like 2 weeks. So they kept me around. And it's really, really cool to be a part of, and just watching them fall in love with the sport that had such a huge impact on my life when I was younger, and all the lessons that I know they're going to learn from that. And it's teaching me more lessons as we dive into it too. So it's really fulfilling to be a part of it.
I'm sure you'll find some CRO references in there to share with your clients.
Check my
I'm
link.
waiting about the leadership lessons in the LinkedIn posts from your coaching experience. So you're coaching the Bad News Bears, or is it the honeybees or the ladybugs, or?
They are, the rec program where I coach uses like different countries. So you've got like USA, Brazil, whatever. We were supposed to be the Brazil team, but they didn't order enough Brazil jerseys. So we ended up being USA 2, but they still called us Brazil, but our jerseys were USA 2. Yeah, it's the whole thing.
Hilarious. USA the sequel. Well,
Yeah.
that
That's
was
awesome.
great. And, our last episode that dropped with Russell Justice, he talked about those being the most instrumental, in his leadership development was some of those very early sports coaches. So as you said, you're kind of paying it forward now with the one that made an impact on you. So that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I had her from the time I was probably 8 or 9 to about 14. I don't know if you guys know, 14-year-old girls are not like the nicest in the whole world.
hmm
So I
I
think
remember that.
I think often about how I was as a 14-year-old girl. And then I watched some of these girls this year and I was like, oh, this is the karma that I'm getting for that right now.
Now they have smartphones and stuff, so I can't even imagine.
So much worse.
So glad that there's not video of things that I did when I was 14 years old.
I know. I saw this post the
Same.
other day that was like, if the internet's forever, where are all my MySpace pictures? And it's a valid question, but I don't even want to know what's in those MySpace pictures at this point.
And you just dated yourself by saying MySpace, by the way. All right. This was Rayne Palmer, proof that careers like revenue don't grow in straight lines. From C Labs to sales decks, Rayne's work shows how the right systems create space for growth, for rhythm, for community. If you're trying to scale your work or your world, rewind this one. She's dropping gems the whole way through. I'm Forrest,
I'm Tony.
and this was Fixers and Founders.
Oh, my darlings, look at you. Still here with me till the end. That's how I know you're one of us. The fixers, the founders, the ones who build in the chaos and still manage to laugh through it. Drop a comment, share your sparks, and connect with each other. This is where the net weaving begins. Like, share, and subscribe to keep the fire blazing. Until next time.